Okay, so, hello guys, it's me, Gaming Star here, and today I am back with another episode of Phoenix Wright, Extreme Trials and Tribulations. I'm also Justice for All, what the fuck. Last time, we had basically done, more investigations, and, yeah. And we investigated for the murder of the CEO of KB Security, and, well, we found a few things. And this time we're gonna go ahead and do the two-part trial, all of it. So let's go. Hey, Nick. What is it this time? You won't believe how many people are here for the trial. Well, it's a murder case. What are you talking about? They're here for the trial next door. Next door? Why don't you notice, Nick? They're having Detective Adamy's trial today. They say they're going to try him as Masque de Masque. Already? That was fast. Boy, I'd love to see Masque de Masque's trial. I know. By the way, where's Pearls? Oh, she went back home. She says she can't neglect her training anymore. I know, you don't like me. Pearls has really gotten into her training lately, huh? Yeah, ever since that incident last year. Please! Don't ignore me! Oh, Mr. Delight! Good morning. No one likes me. No one would notice me, even if I killed someone. Come on, don't be silly. Wait a sec. You don't mean... You're the murderer? No, I'm just a poor thief! No, wait, that's not right. A thief can't... Now, let's see. According to Mr. Delight, from the second crime on, he was following a bunch of set plans. Plans that someone had been sending to him to help him commit the heist. Do you really think there's a connection between the thief and the murderer, Nick? It's possible, but today's trial is a race against the clock. Huh? How come? Let's just take our time like always. I'm afraid that's not an option. Here we go. Let's go! Court is now in session for the trial of Mr. Ron Delight. The defense is ready, Your Honor. You're ready? Preparation's the last refuge of the week. Okay, settle down, everyone. Let's begin with your opening statement, Mr. Gadot. I always got the judge palm with his hand yet again. Ron Delight is simply too young to be sent to war. That's all. I'm afraid I have no idea what that means, Mr. Gadot. Then you need to get out more, Your Honor. Life is war, but that is exactly why you must be more precise in your wording. That's all my statement means. You understand now, right? Yes. Well then, let me briefly summarize the details of this case. Wow, the judge is taking the charge like he knows what's going on for a change. The victim is Kane Bullard, CEO of KB Security. His body was found in the safe at approximately 9 a.m. at the morning of the 13th. However, the time of death was estimated at 1 a.m. the previous day. And that's when our little lost kitten dropped the ball. That little lost kitten is, of course, the defendant. Very well done, Mr. Gadot. Please call your first witness. I'm supposed to gotta shut up. Just I know it's wrong. I never drink more than 70 cups of coffee during any given trial. But the first one is always the best. Mr. Gadot, your witness. Fucking coffee. Okay, then let's hear what the defendant, Mr. Ron Delight, has to say for himself. The defendant? Well, Mr. Wright, does the defense have any objections? It may be a bit of disadvantage having the defendant testify, but... I remember when Mia was defending me. She allowed me to testify so she could do the cross-examination. She put a lot of trust in me back then. We have no objections, Your Honor. The defense will allow Mr. Delight to testify. Huh. You've got guts, trite. Alright then, Mr. Ron Delight, please take the stand. You did it, didn't you? Yes. What? No, that's not true! For a moment there, I thought we set the record for the shortest trial ever! Mr. Delight looks plenty guilty of the face he's making. And once he opens his big mouth, he'll probably put the last nail in our own coffin. Huh. Very well. Now then, can you tell me something? If you didn't kill Bullard, why did you go to KB Security? Well, it's kind of hard to say. Boy, I wish I could go home. Nada, let's hear some testimony about what happened. My visit to KB Security. That evening, around 1 a.m., I went to see Mr. Bullard in his office at KB Security. The blackmail letter I got, it ordered me to go there. I've been working for KB Security until a year ago, so I knew where his office was. 1 a.m., the exact time the murder took place. The weak gets washed away by the tides of fate. The strong drink it up. It's bitter today, too. Just like my destiny. You've never known that from the way he's chugging it down. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please. Alright. Boy, let's go. Oh, God. 1, 2, hold it. It orders you to go there. It was the first time I've gotten a blackmail letter that ordered me to go somewhere. Does that mean you've gotten other blackmail letters then? Oh, of course. They say things like, steal this or this. Why did you save those for later, Mr. D? Like, please don't say anymore. Now, what should I do? Press harder, baby. So what did the blackmail letter in question say? It's had to bring $50,000. Money, eh? Perfect motive for committing murder. Oh, but wait! I never intended to pay that money anyway. Oh, is that right? After all, he had nothing held over my head. I had nothing to be afraid of. An important point indeed. Witness, let's have that added to your testimony. Yes, sir. Ha! A muddy mud skipper in outer space has better chance of surviving than I do. What? That blackmail threat didn't scare me, so it was going to cause me trouble or anything. We're going to ignore that statement for now. Why were you fired, though? You used to be security chief for KB Security, right? Yes, that's right. A security chief? You! And yet, a year ago, you were fired without notice. Revenge for an old grudge? A perfect motive for murder, wouldn't you say? This isn't good. Maybe I should change the subject. Life about after being fired. Why was he fired? Don't say anything. Why was he fired, though? Mr. D. Light, please tell us why you were fired from your job. Well... the world is filled with those who have said, I wish I had never asked that. Okay then, I take it back! Defendant, please answer the question. I needed money. You needed money? Well, you see, Desi loves to spend it. It's kind of her hobby. Not exactly the best hobby in the world, huh, Nick? My salary wasn't nearly enough, so I stole data from the company. Come again? KB Security has a lot of security and info, all sorts of companies. And since I was security team chief, you stole some data and sold it. Mr. Bullard found out when I was fired immediately. What? I wish I had never asked that. I was somehow able to keep it secret and made it seem like I had quit on my own. What was it, Nick? You don't look so good. Someone who brings harm to their company is fired as punishment. You did well to remember that. He sure told you. So you admit that you stole data from your company, is that correct? Yes, I'm sorry. This is very important fact. Please add it to your testimony. Oh man, this whole thing just took a big turn for the worse. Crashed and blew up. Like the Hindenburg. It's gonna take the jaws of life to rip this case from the cliffs of disaster. Alright. He fired me for selling company secrets, but Desi doesn't know about it. Pac-Man fire didn't scare me, so it was gonna cause any trouble. Bitch! Here we go. Mr. Delight, what you said just now doesn't match what you told me yesterday. Huh? What is it? I think you must have been scared, very scared, of having a certain person find out about your secret. A certain person. Miss Desade Delight, the defendant's wife. But I listen to me, Miss My Desi, she's... Looks like if I just sit back and relax, it won't end before it truly begins. God. Yes, we know. It was all your wife's fault. What do you mean? Mr. Delight stole company data to pay his wife's spending habits, for which he was fired. Unable to face his own wife, someone used his dirty little secret to blackmail him. And that is how this murder came about. Oh. No! Everything is falling neatly into place for him! Don't talk about my destiny like that, or you'll be sorry! Well, it seems that we've learned a great deal of things here so far. What do you think, Nick? I didn't think it was possible to get so thoroughly whipped in just 20 minutes. More like 10 for me. Clearly, there was just more significant motive for murder. He stole data for his wife, and he killed to protect the secret. A family man who cared just a little too much. That's not what fucking happened, though! That was clear. Let's move on. What happened at the crime scene in 1 in the morning, Mr. Delight? Come now, tell us! We're all ears. God damn it, bro. My case has fallen like the fucking Hindenburg and the Titanic did had a baby. What the fuck? When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. This has seemed familiar. Suddenly I was hit on the forehead. After that I remember being dazed. If I hadn't been wearing that, I would have been killed. When I came to, Mr. Bullard was lying there. They were dead. What were you wearing? I see. Suddenly hit on the forehead, huh? I believe the detective from yesterday provided similar testimony. He said the masque struck him on the head from behind. Well, of course, this adamant turned out to be the culprit himself. That was all a lie. Ha! No one's going to believe a pathetic lie like that. What are you saying? I really was attacked. We'll find out if what you say is true or not during the cross-examination. Got that, Mr. Wright? Don't go easy just because he's your client. If I see any sign that you are, I'll treat you to another cup of my special blend. You don't need to worry about that, Mr. Gatto. I have faith in Ron. I know he didn't do it. What thing were you wearing on your head? That... Uno, dos, tres, count with me! Hold it, baby. That. Could you please clarify what you were referring to? Why, my masque costume, of course. Wait just a moment! Masque? Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? Just to be on the safe side, I dressed as masque. And then I descended upon the office to CEO's keep security. What?! Nick, did you know about this? He never told me this. I don't recall him ever mentioning it to me either. Even I didn't know that. It seems our little friend really loves to keep secrets. I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. Wait, that's not right. You know how sometimes things just slip your mind? Ha! My 6th cup of coffee starts staring me up coldly. How much coffee do you fucking have, though? Whenever we can't ignore the new piece of information. Witness, please correct your testimony. If I'd been killed if I hadn't been wearing my masque costume. Why though? Why were you dressed up as masque? Why? Because I'm masque, of course. What are you talking about? Masque's trial is being held next door. Yes, I guess so, anyway. At that time, I thought I was being blackmailed over the masque issue. So I thought I could go and ask him, just to be safe. Oh boy. Let me tell you, it was really a pain to move around with that cape. That's why it took a lot longer than I expected. Took a lot longer? What is he talking about? Press harder. What do you mean by it took a lot longer? Oh, opening the safe, of course. My cape got caught on the safe door, you see. This all happened when I was hiding Mr. Bullard's body. What was that? Back up a second! Yes? You were the one that hit the body in the safe! Well, yeah. Inconceivable! Unbelievable. Why? Just why? What reason could you have? What reason are you thinking? Oh boy. Question. When does someone toss their dirty shorts in the washing machine? Oh god damn it. What? The answer is simple. When they take them off. As usual, I have no idea what you're saying. Do you mean that Mr. Delight hit the body because he's the murderer? Huh. So you're not as stupid as you look. This metaphor this time was really obscure. I don't even know. Mr. Wright, you don't mean that you knew about this whole safe business? Do you? Well, yes. Why am I the only one that has a loop here? Witness, make sure you have this testimony. Yes, sir. Looks like a storm in front of me, moving over the fair weather, Judge. I panicked and hit the body in the safe. It took about 10 minutes. Objection! Boy. Your Honor, could you please take a look at this record? And what that might be. The record for the emergency buzzer that connects the CEO's office to security. If the button in the office is pressed, a security team is supposed to come running. And according to the record, the buzzer was pushed once at 1:02 a.m. What? If Mr. Ron Delight truly was the murderer, he would have ran as soon as the buzzer sounded. After all, security guard would have been heading this way. Huh. Let's remember who we're dealing with here. He probably had no idea when there were security personnel in the building. Up until 1 year ago, my client was working as a chief of security. There's no way he wouldn't have known about them. But as it turns out, the guard never came. That was nothing more than a coincidence. The fact that the guard was a pathetic loser who had just gotten punched in the face by his ex's new boyfriend and wasn't anywhere in the vicinity was not something Mr. Delight could have known. Ha! Again, remember who we're dealing with here. It's sure that Mr. Delight didn't even notice the buzzer going off. He would have. The buzzer is extremely loud. There is no way he could have ignored something like that. If he had been conscious, that is, conscious. What do you mean by that? Fine. Let's hear your theory. Alright. Recall the defendant's testimony. The moment he entered the victim's office, someone attacked him. Mr. Delight said he felt dazed. I'm willing to wager that he was knocked unconscious for at least a few minutes. Unconscious. So he fainted. That's why Mr. Delight didn't know that the buzzer had sounded. And that's why he thought he had time to hide the body. So what are you trying to say? Mr. Delight was knocked out, and the buzzer went off soon afterwards. Now, unless my client was able to hit the buzzer while he was unconscious, he could only mean that there was another person in that room. That's right, whoever was knocked out, Mr. Delight, to press the buzzer. Oh no, the court! Mr. Wright, this is just preposterous! It was this kid! Ron Delight's the one who killed Ken Bullard. Then who pressed the buzzer? It was the victim, of course. He pressed the buzzer when the defendant attacked him. He didn't die right away. He must have held long enough to push that button. Ah! So Ken Bullard sounded the buzzer himself. So what is your opinion on this, Mr. Wright? I need to prove that the victim was that scene, but how? I can prove that wasn't there. I can prove it all right. The defense's opinion is, Your Honor, a piece of evidence that proves that it wasn't the victim who sounded the buzzer. That's the office buzzer, of course, because there's no fingerprints on it. So, of course, there you go. I believe this is a piece of incontrovertible evidence you're looking for. The emergency buzzer? Is there some kind of clue on it? Absolutely not. Okay, come on now. At least give some thought of what you say before opening your mouth. The fact that there are absolutely no clues, it's a clue to self. Now, I'm the one who's clueless. This button has no fingerprints on it. If Mr. Bullard had really pressed it himself, naturally he would have left fingerprints behind! I love doing that. Alright, here. Ron Delight obviously wiped them off. Why would he? A guard could have come in any moment. He touched the button! I know he did! The defendant, Mr. Ron Delight, was dressed as Masque Masque. And Masque Masque always wears gloves! The reason he could possibly have wiped the button was free of fingerprints. What reason? Odd! 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 Here, what is seeing? I've been forced to eat crow. I wonder what blood number crow flavor coffee is. However, if the real killer was there at the scene, Why would the person press the emergency buzzer? Shouldn't they have run away without putting themselves in extra danger? What's this awkward sounds all of a sudden? Ha! It looks like you're fresh out of parlor tricks. They're on to you, Nick. Just give me a minute to collect my thoughts. The real culprit killed Mr. Bullard at around 1 a.m. And Mr. Delight just happened to waltz in when the murder was taking place, right? The killer clobbered Mr. Delight and then sounded the buzzer. Even though security was supposed to respond right away, the buzzer was pressed. Security was supposed to respond. Time's up, Mr. Wright. Let's hear what you have to say. Very well, then. Oh, you've got some guts. I like that in an opponent. What did the real killer sound the emergency buzzer? To call a security guard. Of course. The killer knew that if they pressed the button, the guard could come running. And that was exactly what they wanted. Do you mean the killer called the guard on purpose? Yes. Although as it turned out, he never showed up. Because he was getting his clock cleaned at the time. Ha, what a touching story. You're saying the killer had a change of heart and called the guard to turn himself in? Not himself in. No, I'm not. When the buzzer sounded, there were 3 people in that office. The victim, Kane Bullard, who was already dead. The defendant, Ron D. Light, who was out cold. And the 3rd person, the real killer. Gee, I wonder who that silhouette is. Gee, I wonder who it is. I know exactly what that silhouette is. Hypothetical. Yes. Now then, it's a situation. The real killer made an escape. What would happen? The only one left in his room would be the victim and Ron D. Light. And if any security guards came running in at the time, they would think I was the murderer. Yes, that was precisely the real killer's objective. To frame Ron D. Light for the murder. I love doing that. Why is that so fun to do? God, voice acting can be kind of fun though. Even I'm not that good, I could try. Odd. Let's see. I've been made to eat my words once again. Actually, you've been made to do a spit take with a cup of coffee. Mr. Wright, who was it? Who was it that tried to frame me? Wait a second. I'm the old one and only masked. So, Nick, you mean the real killer is... We're going to drag that person in here right now. But who is it? I don't have any solid proof yet, but think about it. The killer knew Mr. Delight's identity, and they also knew that he had been called to keep security that night. So the killer used him to execute a well-crafted plan to murder Kane Bullard. Now, see your accusation, Mr. Wright. Who was it that framed? The silhouette's kind of obvious. The silhouette. This motherfucker! Detective, look at me. He's the one and only who could have been done it. He's detective. Look at me. You mean Maske did it? Your Honor, the person being tried to the court next to us is not Maske at all. He is, in actuality, the true murderer of Kane Bullard. But Mr. Wright, explain yourself! Theft and murder. Which is the more serious crime? They're not even close. Murder is a more serious crime, of course. It's a capital crime subject to capital punishment. Execution. Please remember the trial from yesterday, if you would. I actually had an ancestor that actually did commit murder. I actually did. It was an ancestor of mine that actually did commit murder. I actually had one. I think it was like for murder of his wife or something. I can't remember, but it was like murder of his wife. Something like that. But look at me confess, there was a huge commotion in the courtroom. Of course, the famous detective was unmasked as, well, Maske. Instead of being convicted of murder, he was found guilty of grand larceny. That was his true objective all along, to be found guilty. Maske had the perfect alibi for when the murder took place. He was stealing the urn at Lord E. Taylor. In other words, being found guilty as Maske was look at me's airtight, watertight, and unassailable alibi. A guilty verdict. As an alibi?! Shit's getting fucking crazy though. You know, it's almost time. For what? For Luke Atome's verdict. It was a pretty simple trial after all. If you're going to stop this trial and stall that one, we need to do it now. Of course, that's assuming you have proof that the detective was the one who committed a murder. Luke Atome's trial has indeed attracted the attention of the entire country. If you were to intrude the failed to provide adequate proof of this true crime, Mr. Delight will be left with no grounds for appeal. Am I really sure about this? Ha! But it's only good when your life's in the ante. Mr. Wright, I believe in you! Mr. Delight. So please, I'm begging you! Thanks, but my decision will determine the rest of your life. Can I really risk your life like this? Phoenix. What was that? Don't stray, Phoenix. For your client, take the path of trust. It's that voice. It sounds like... Mia! Your Honor! The defense requests immediate recess! Huh. So that's your answer, huh? Very well. I've decided as well. This court will now take a 20-minute recess. Mr. Wright, then we will return. Please summon Mr. Luke Atome to the stand. Yes, Your Honor. October 14th, 11:58 a.m. Here we go. It's Payne. Well, Sir Detective Atome. I have to say, Mr. Payne, you performed splendidly. Oh no, Sir Detective Atome. You were the one who... That's enough! This judge! Okay, so hey, you guys know this judge has to be informed for later. I cannot do a Canadian accent for the life of me, but I could try. That's enough. This court sees no reason to further prolong this trial. I need to practice more accents. This court finds the defendant Luke Atome. Hold it! Wait! Don't hand down your verdict yet, please! Well, well, sir lawyer. Welcome to my courtroom. Who's this Jose? My name's Phoenix Wright, attorney at law, and I wish to file an accusation against this man, Luke Atome. Accusation? You're accused Mask Masque. That man is not Mask Masque. He's just a ruthless murderer. What? Bro, you're gonna be fucked. Bro, Atome, you're gonna be so fucked. It's gonna be amazing. Alright, let's go. A Canadian. He's actually a Canadian judge, by the way. So fun fact about that judge. That judge is actually Canadian. So I can't fucking do a Canadian accent. I'm sorry. I could try, but I need to practice. Damn, I really do gotta practice different voices. What the fuck? I really gotta do that. I gotta list stuff. My sis. I could have sworn I heard Mia's voice. So is she still alive inside your heart? Mickey boy! Oh, Misty Light. Is it true that Detective is the real killer? To be honest, we don't have any definitive proof. But he's the only one who could have done it. But wasn't he in Lordy Taylor that night? Not to mention, we don't exactly know his motive. I mean, why would Detective Atome want to kill King Bullard? Oops, it's almost time. Better get back to the courtroom. Ah, fuck. I need to find some solid proof, and it's gotta happen sooner rather than later. Now then, the court's back in session. Mr. Luke Atome, please take the stand. Hey, bitch. Well, well, how do you do, sir lawyer? I never would have thought to see you acting so recklessly. I couldn't let them hand down your verdict just yet. Now then, it would have been giving you a perfect alibi. An alibi by the name of Mask de Masque. I'm sorry, I'm afraid even the great Luke Atome has no idea what you mean. Of course, I have been in the next court ever since 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm afraid there is no way I could have known what's been going on here. You've been in the defendant's seat all day long, correct? Being tried as Mask de Masque. Indeed. It's truly child's play to fool the ignorant masses. Not only did the poor fellows ask me to protect their valuables, they even gave me a generous reward upon returning their own property to them. Take this red diamond ring that sparkles upon my divine finger, for example. That's not even a diamond, so you continue to insist that you are in fact Mask de Masque. Of course. Very well then, Luke Atome, let us begin with this simple question. On October 12th at 1 a.m., Cain Bullard was murdered. Were you there at the time? One without knowledge lacks even the knowledge that he should be ashamed of himself. But don't worry, I will not hold it against you, Sir Judge. Thanks? I gotta practice my fucking words. I just need to find them maybe later. Alright, Mr. Abby, the night of the murder. Speak. We're all ears. As you wish, Sir Prosecutor. Alright, here we go. The alibi. I was stealing the urn as Master Masqué, just as announced I would. I had more than enough time to prepare. It was a pathetically easy job. A photograph contains no words, but in this case, one turned out to be my witness. This time I wish the camera captured Master Masqué was the same time as the murder. Seems the main point of discussion will be crime scene photo. Everything else up to now is part of his plan. There's to be secret picture as well. If the great Master Masqué cannot be in two places at once. Now then, if you'll excuse me, I have the verdict to receive. Unfortunately, Mr. Adamy, we still have to do your cross-examination. A fool is too foolish to know that he is a fool. I think he's trying to say that you're full of it, Nick. The only thing that's full of his is alibi. Alright, press statements 1 and 2. Let's go, boyo! Okay. Count with me. Uno, dos. Press, baby! Hold it. I believe Adrian Andrews hired you at one point. That's right. That was over 20 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. You sent the calling card to Lord Taylor 10 days before the heist. That would mean you sent the card after he began your security watch then. Indeed, there was no reason why I couldn't do both jobs at once. It was the perfect opportunity to steal my latest target. I see, you truly are evil, aren't you? Yes, evil is what I am. Hey Nick, isn't there something odd about this? Detective Adamy was always proud of his ace detective skills, right? But if his urn was stolen from Lord Taylor while he was the only one watching it, he had no way to maintain his perfect ace detective persona. You know, that's true. It's kind of odd. Tres, cuatro, hold it. About the camera that took this photograph. Oh, come on now, it's all too clear what you're thinking. Huh? You think I altered the timestamp on the photograph, don't you? Actually, a bit. It kind of looks a bit off out of place. I'm afraid that's impossible. The camera was set up by Lord Taylor, and on top of that, it was Lord Taylor's staff that printed the picture's data. Unfortunately for the defense, there's no way the picture could have been altered. I see. It looks like I better find something suspicious. Since alibi is false, it has to be or couldn't have killed us. But I'm not really spotting anything unusual. Two possibilities. Either the Master Masqué in this photo is fake, or the photo itself is. I was stealing the urn. Uno, dos, tres. Be a witness. So, photograph, you mean the piece of evidence here. Is that correct? Indeed it is. That is the very thing that proves I committed the crime. The very thing that proves you committed the crime. Surely even you understand by now. Lord Taylor provided that camera. There's no way I could have tampered with it. That means I couldn't have killed Game Bullard unless I had an accomplice. Come on, think long hard about that night. The basement warehouse. Those pictures. Wait a fucking minute. It's got to be here. There's something funny about it. You bet there is! The statue isn't there. You're implying the picture is fake? Actually, I kind of am. You bet I am. There's definitely something strange about this picture. It took over the basement warehouse that night before the theft took place, and there's something in this photo that doesn't match my memory of that night. Very well, then. Let's hear what you have to say. Funny. The paint! Right here. Why is there paint here? So it's gotta be the paint. The funny part is right here. Why, this is the blood stain. Ah, blood! Now this is getting interesting. Not exactly. That stain is actually pink paint. Oh, just paint. And peach colored at that. From blood to peaches, the judge sure loves going on his wild tangents. The problem with this photograph is not the paint. The problem is, when you consider the layout of the basement warehouse, it turns out that something that should be there is nowhere to be seen. Well, Mr. Wright, supposed to be covering it, the Ami Faye golden statue. The supervisor of the treasure exhibit stated the following. Well, there's a good reason for that. On the day of the crime, around noon, that golden statue has happened to arrive at the mountain training hall. I realized that the statue would be the perfect size for covering up the paint stains. That's why I put it there where you first saw it. Myself was there at the night the theft took place, and saw the statue in that spot. If this picture was truly taken that night, then the statue should have been there. But when I went there the day after the theft, that statue of the old bag was sitting in the corner. Perhaps it was somehow pushed over there accidentally? Your Honor, this statue is slightly larger than yourself and quite heavy. It would take more than an accidental push to move it to a distance. In that case, you can prove it? Can you give us the rhyme and reason as to why the statue's moved that night? Can you do it, Nick? Never mind who moved it. The real question is, why did they move it? Well, Mr. Wright, I hope you're prepared with the answer. Now then, who was it that moved the golden statue tonight? Look at me, of course. The one who moved the statue is none other than Luke Atme himself. Come, sir, lawyer. There you go again with everyone's strange delusions. Mr. Wright, what basis do you have for strange delusions? It's very simple. The witness was the one in the basement warehouse that night. That is indeed very simple. However, why would I want to move a heavy golden statue? The reason for moving the golden statue, here's where our battle really begins. Well, Mr. Wright, what reason did the witness have to move the statue? The reason can be found here in this photograph. Look at me. You pretend to be masque to create an alibi by showing you were at Lord Taylor that night. But this photograph contains a single fatal flaw. And the statue should have been there. Your lie would expose like cheap film at a drugstore. This is why you had to move the statue. Single fatal flaw? Interesting theory. Please enlighten us. Just where does the picture lie exist? The timestamp. Naturally, the lie in this photo is a timestamp. What do you mean? I'll tell you exactly what I mean. On the night in question, Luke Atme went to KB Security and Murder King Bullard. Therefore, it's obvious it would have been impossible for him to have been a Lord Taylor at the same time. But what does that have to do with the statue being moved? Remember, if you will, Your Honor. When was this statue placed besides the warehouse door? Well, the statue was taken down the warehouse the day of the crime. Oh shit. It was placed there in order to cover up the paint. Exactly. Luke Atme had already decided the time when he was going to kill the victim. And so in order to create an alibi for that time, he took this picture days before the murder took place. What the? Of course, the statue hadn't been brought down to the basement warehouse yet. So on the day of the crime, Mr. Atme must have been quite nervous. As nervous as a long-tailed cat in a rocking chair factory, so to speak. Why? Because something that wasn't supposed to be there had been brought down in place where it was supposed to be. And that is why Luke Atme had to move the statue the night of the murder. He did it to make the room match the way it had been in this photo. Ah! Mr. Atme, is this true? Oh god. Oh no! One moment, Your Honor. Have you forgotten this? What's that? The data for the basement warehouse computer. According to this, the camera did indeed go off that night. It's true that the camera had been set up by Lord Taylor's staff. However, the program used to manage the data was yours. That alone would have allowed you to tamper with the data. Ah! Ah, fuck my phone! Odd! Mr. Gadot, what is the meaning of this? I warned you about making me wait, now put that coffee down! My 11th cup. I promised to drink no more than 17 during the trial. Which means I'm still good till the last drop. However, the defense has a very good point. A good point. So what? We are all but travelers on the road of infinite points. I think it's got points mixed up with his other points. To say this photograph was taken ahead of time, and that statue was moved in order to make it match. That's a very interesting idea. However, there's one point that can't be denied. Which is that it's only a possibility. Men that are trapped by chains of maybe can never reach their dreams. That's very true. No way, don't fall for that, Your Honor. Hey, Mr. Demasque. Yes? If there's no funny business in your actions as Master Demasque, there should be no problem. If you're telling us your strategy, so let's hear it. Yes, please provide this court with your testimony about your plan to steal the sacred urn. The sacred urn heist. I first received a request from Lord Taylor about 20 days ago. The urn was placed in the box, and Zavadi! It was sent to the warehouse. Hence, I was actually unable to steal the urn for myself until the day of the crime. I knew it was extremely valuable to treasure, so I sent my card 10 days beforehand. I then handled security by myself to ensure that my crime goes smoothly. At last, I held my urn in my hands at the first time at 1 a.m. October 12th. That's pretty much all the stuff we've heard before, isn't it? Yeah, but we find that truth hidden in the nuggets of new information he gave. Witness, you sure there are no mistakes this time? Zavari! Very well then, Mr. Wright, you may go examination. Alright, let's go. Mr. Atomy, if you really are Master Masque, then you also wrote this calling card, correct? But of course. Is there a problem with the calling card? Allow me to read a passage from the calling card that Master Masque had written. Take good care of this speckled urn. Now the speckled here surely refers to this pink pattern on the sacred urn. Yes, that is true, but so what? Truth be told, there is no way that Master Masque could have known about this pattern. So what do you mean? That pink spotted pattern on the urn is actually nothing more than paint stains. Paint stains. And these stains do not appear until after the urn had been taken back to Lord Taylor. Not finding this joke to be very funny, Mr. Trite. The day the sacred urn was taken to the warehouse, the urn had been broken due to human error, or should I say an error-prone human. And that's when the pink paint got onto the urn. You can't be serious. And yet this calling card clearly mentions the paint pattern. Which means Detective Atomy had seen this urn long before the crime ever took place. In fact, he saw it when this fake photo was taken. Psh! And because this photo is fake, your alibi for the night of murder no longer holds water. Gah! Bro, you are losing yourself right now. Witness, do you have anything to say to yourself? Alright, that did it. He's broken. Nick, I think he's still a little early for a victory pose. Huh? Ha. It's so sad. No one has any conviction these days. Conviction, you say? Yesterday, we all had decided unanimously that this man was Master Masque, and now we're calling him a murderer. You don't think we're being a tad fickle? That's a good point. No way! Don't fall for that too, Your Honor! You said that Luke Atomy was the one who killed Cain Bullard. Then let me ask you this. Why would he do it? An excellent point! Motive, Mr. Wright. Motive. My merry murderous motive manifest. Nick, he's getting second wind. If he prepared an alibi to pin this crime on Ron Delight, as you say, he must have had a very strong motive for murder. The only one with any motive in those scenes is Ron Delight. Isn't that right, Detective? Indeed. According to my own research, the boy's motive is clear. Not really your own research, he didn't do anything. But a motive is nearly impossible to prove guilt of murder case. Now then, maybe you can enlighten us on what the defendant's motives were? I'd be honored to, sir, old timer. They're doing everything they can to make Ron look suspicious. Despite our lack of hard information, this may be our only chance. Motive for murder. Look at me! Had no points of contact with the victim whatsoever. Cain Bullard decided to investigate Master Masque and simply mistook who he was. It was Mr. Bullard who wrote the blackmail letter and sent it to Ron Delight. And it was again Mr. Bullard who had harbored a grudge against Miss Ron Delight and for his betrayal. Mr. Bullard's mistake is quite excusable. The defendant truly believes he is Masque the Masque. That is why Mr. Delight saw it fit to kill Mr. Bullard. Truly a tragedy. So the victim, Cain Bullard, blackmailed the defendant. This is the blackmail letter found in the defendant's apartment. A handwritten test confirms that Mr. Bullard has indeed the one who wrote the letter. What? Blackmail letter updated in the court found written by Bullard. Very well, Mr. Wright. Begin your cross-examination. Motive for murder. Uno, dos, tres. If you don't want to try to reveal to the world, come to KB Security at 1 a.m. on October 12th and bring $50,000. If you don't, I'll take the red diamond you received the other day instead. Red diamond received the other day instead. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Mind if I ask a few questions, Detective Adamy? Well, if it's just a few, I guess it's alright. When you said that his letter was addressed to Mr. Ron Delight, I couldn't help but notice one major contradiction. Contradiction? I don't know where a walking contradiction like you gets saying off things like this. Care to talk? At times like these, men are to express themselves with their fist. Why don't you show us what you've got there, Junior? Indeed, time to man up, Mr. Wright. Show us the contradicting evidence contact the blackmail letter, the newspaper clipping. Here you go. Take a good look at this newspaper clipping. It contains a picture of the tear of Aminum, the stolen jewel. What about it? The problem is this jewel's color. Color? I'm not much for discussing color myself. This could be an important thing for later about Gadot, so keep this in mind. According to the clipping, the color of the stolen jewel was blue. However, in the blackmail letter, a totally different jewel is mentioned. Take that red diamond you received the other day. Red? Red text. Which means the red diamond is got to the blackmail letter. It's not the tear of Aminum that Masque stole at all. Your point is, Mr. Trite, if you're trying to say that this blackmail letter was intended for someone else, that is what you're trying to say, right, Trite? That's what you're trying to say, right, Mr. Wright? Well, what are you trying to say, right, Nick? Yes. So this Cain Bullard was actually blackmailing. Because look at me, you see how he has a red diamond? He said he had a red diamond on his finger. Look at me. Look at me. Hey guys, look at me. Naturally, it was you, Detective, that's me. Do you have some sort of basis for that claim? You're personally involved in every single Masque case, and in the last case, you've recovered that what was stolen. And I received a jewel as a reward. A jewel? Probably the one wrapped conspicuously around your finger. The red diamond ring? That is the red diamond referred to in the letter, which means that Cain Bullard wrote the letter in order to blackmail you! Yeah! Bro! It seems you've gone too far with your childish pranks, Mr. Trite. I don't like the way he said that. Cain Bullard blackmailing look at me. Are you for real? Yes, I am. Nick, come on, stand up to him. Then answer me this. The blackmail letter contains the following passage. If you don't want your identity revealed to the world, yes, it certainly does. Cain Bullard ran to make Luke Atme's identity public knowledge, an identity he wanted to keep secret. So just what was that identity? Adamy killed Cain Bullard because he was afraid to his secret becoming known. Was the identity he wanted to keep secret? So it comes down to Nick. The identity Luke Atme wanted to keep secret is as a blackmailer. Luke Atme was a blackmailer.
Objection.
Hey now, isn't that a little different from what you've been saying? You said that Kane Buller was the one who blackmailed Luke Atomy. Or are you saying that Atomy was blackmailing someone else on top of that? You have to admit, that does sound a little odd. It's not odd. It's the only thing that makes any sense. Kane Buller was blackmailing Luke Atomy. But Ron DeLay was still being blackmailed by a certain someone! So, did you start receiving blackmail letters after the incident? Yes, just a few days after the Tear of Ammon heist. After that, I started getting plans in the mail. I received plans from some very kind person, incredibly detailed plans. Detailed plans? In which case would mean that Ron DeLay was actually Masque Masque? That is what we are claiming. Someone else came with the plans and had Mr. DeLay steal his targets for him. And that someone was none other than Luke Atomy! Shh! Silence! Now I see it's all becoming clear. What is... When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Careless, with the tendency to jump to conclusions. Am I wrong? How did you... You say that I, Luke Atomy, was blackmailing Ron Delight? In which case, I would naturally know all this relation to Masque Masque. Well, yes. Ron Delight started receiving plans for his second crime onward, correct? Which means I learned from his identity when he committed the first crime. Good point. You certainly could have blackmailed him otherwise. In that case, let's see some hot, bitter evidence. During the first crime, how did Luke Atomy know that it was wrong with Masque Masque? The newspaper clipping, because, I mean, come on, the guard was him, so... Newspaper clipping. Again, here you go. I think I see it. See what? When you were in grade school, you received the same report card every year. Gets into lots of mischief trying to be a center of attention. What do you mean? This newspaper clipping. It has a picture of you and Ron DeLay in his guard uniform. It seems that Masque Masque didn't just disappear into thin air. He just took off his outfit and hid it in the bucket. That sounds far too stupid to be true. Correct. With tricks like that, he couldn't fool a baby, let alone Ace Detective. And that's when you figured it out, Mr. Atomy. That's when you learned that under his mask, Masque Masque was really Ron Delight. What the? Wasn't he supposed to be Masque Masque? Not only that, it looks like he wasn't even an Ace Detective. I can't believe it. He was just a slimy blackmailer. What a fraud, trying to pass himself out as an Ace Detective. Why, how dare you expose me like that? Why, Ivy? I've never blackmailed anyone in my life. I'm a famous and proud Ace Detective, and also Masque Masque. Why can't you understand that? I'm afraid you were neither a proud thief nor an Ace Detective. You're a blackmailer and a murderer. That is your true identity. Why you? How dare you even dare imply that a smart cunt full of assault depths? Why not try to do something yourself with those big mouth of yours, you real fool? I say none of you can compare you my genius, you're real just jealous. Oh God, this creepy, there's nothing great to take out. Hell, blackmail, murder, friends get away from it. It's enough to make one laugh. Okay, I think I went too far there. Oh my God. I went a bit too far. Holy shit. It would seem we finally arrived to the real answer. That was quite a performance by Mr. Atomy. Bailiff, please prepare yourself for Mr. Atomy. Oh my God, fuck. The hammer that strikes too fast. That's no time to. What do you mean? I'm already prepared to deliver my ruling. Allow me to say one thing. I will be the one to judge. You don't get much more in your face than that. It appears that your claws weren't quite sharp enough, Mr. Wright. What? It's true that you've proven a lot of things. Things like Luke Atomy was a filthy blackmailer. And that he wasn't that Lordy Taylor that minded the murder. That's right, that's why he was the one who killed Mr. But there's still one thing you still got to prove. What's that? Just because he wasn't in the warehouse doesn't mean he was the murder scene. Therefore, if you can't prove that this pitiful schizo man was a KB security, then I don't see how a verdict can be delivered. No way! Get about Snapchat. Oh, in the court. Well, Mr. Wright, this is it. This is the final round. Got to prove that Mr. Adams was in the office that night. But can you really prove that? It's long enough, Mr. Wright. I want to hear your answer. That night, Luke Academy was a KB security and the defense. Can't prove it right now. I can't prove it. Just as I thought. But if we hear more of Detective Adamy's testimony, unfortunately, there's as far as you go, Mr. Trent. What do you mean? I won't allow for any more testimony. That's what I mean. What? Have you forgotten? Luke asked me here is about to interrupt in his own trial, and you have failed to prove that he committed a murder. I think it's time for this witness to return to his own trial and face his guilty verdict as masque. No! Well now, sir lawyer, seems that love wins on after all. And this detective is both masque. Verdict is very well verified that. His wrongdoings will verify that he is the true murderer. I declare that the full force of my ace detectiveness. You are not an ace detective, you bitch. Fraud. Order in the court. That's enough deliberation over this witness. I can't believe this is right. Ron is... Don't give up now, Nick. We still have tomorrow. By then, it'll be too late. Huh? Why? Double jeopardy. What are the basic rules of any court of law? Double jeopardy? Should a defendant be tried to found innocent in court, the defendant cannot be tried again for the same crime. This is the fundamental rule of all courts. And it applies to the witness as much as... Why did I say apply? Applies to anyone else. Fuck, I can't read. Mr. Adam... And even though I have advanced reading, but alright. Mr. Adam will be found guilty in matters of minutes. Guilty as masque. Which means he will be innocent as far as the murder of Cain Bullard is concerned. No way. The fact that you were unable to prove Mr. Adamy's guilt of crime here means that he will never again be tried as Cain Bullard's murderer. Ah! There's nothing I could possibly do to win. Even if Ron is proclaimed to be innocent, the real killer, Luke Acme, will go free. You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today. As long as there's no more testimony, I'm afraid I have to declare that there will be no further questioning to the witness. Are there any objections? They are hereby in the cross-examination. Look at me. I think I see it. Your Honor, when you were a child, this is what was on your report card every year. Has poor hearing and often makes mistakes as a result. How did you? Phoenix, raise your head up high. Have you forgotten what I used to tell you? As a lawyer is someone who smiles no matter how bad it gets. Is that voice? No way. Long time no see, Phoenix. But Mia! This is the true power of the Korean channeling technique. I know that's really Maya who's standing before me, but right now she's my mentor, Mia Fey. Now, let's do this. But there's nothing more we can do, Mia. Without any more testimony, I can't cross-examine. Not yet. The testimony's not over yet. What do you mean? Your Honor, just now you said something very interesting. You have cross-examined every statement the witness has made here today. Yes, that's true, but unfortunately, Your Honor, you're forgetting something. Earlier, after the last cross-examination, this witness made a number of remarks. Well now, sir lawyer, seems the love wins in the end after all. And the detective as well as masque. My verdict will verify that. Just as Ron Delight will verify that he is a true murderer. I declared with the full force of my ace detectiveness. Bullshit. Yes, but those comments appear of no more importance. So, very well, then we shall prove their importance by cross-examination. At any rate, as long as the witness has made these remarks, we, the defense, assert a question. Is that all right with you, prosecutor? Is something the matter, Mr. Gatto? Ah, nothing. Oh, sir lawyer, looks like you're a step too late. If you think such falsehoods will do anything to me, look at me. Let's hear it. Huh? It's true that the witness made some remarks. So then, let's hear this last bit of cross-examination. Mr. Gatto, what are you? Very well then, Mr. Look at me. I'm going to allow the defense to cross-examine your earlier remarks. The defense would like to hear why you declared the defendant to be the true murderer. So please, give us one last bit of testimony. Phoenix, this is it. This is our absolute last chance. Yes, Chief. Alright. Indeed, it is true that I was not our Lordy Taylor. I had to leave to see about another vital important job request. I had known about the dates beforehand, so I had his photograph readied. My brilliant deduction was informed me that the true culprit was Ron Delight. And thanks to the key card and wallet, it was abundantly clear that he was there. I was also able to make a deduction from the buzzer. It was only sounded once. The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? The victim would have left prints if he sounded it, which means the killer sounded it. Mr. Delight was wearing his masque outfit, which he left no prints. And the blackmail letter, the victim likely just mistook the color of the jewel. Zavari! Therefore, all the evidence points to that poor boy. This testimony actually seems to hold up pretty well. The witness' earlier remarks did not appear to have hastily prepared. All of his points have been explained, none of them contradict anything. But of course! How did you know emergency buzzer? The police investigation documents went directly through me. And I always look over all the documents as elementary, Sir Lawyer. Are you going to make it in more trouble for us now, Sir Lawyer? I will not allow any more of unusual shenanigans, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. We cannot postpone Luke Adamy's trial any longer. This is your last chance. Hang on a sec! Just one chance? Huh. Seems like that party's up to begin. Well, Phoenix, is there any evidence that contradicts that testimony? So it would seem. What do you know? So it would seem. Listen, Phoenix, pointing out contradictions doesn't always mean to present evidence, does it? At any rate, this is our last chance. If you can't point out a case-breaking contradiction, you lose. There's all there is to it. Cup number 17, the last cup. It seems like the time has come to put an end to the trial. I have to find the fatal contradiction in his testimony, and I need to point it out without presenting any evidence. Which means all I can do is just mark and press it. Remember, you only got one chance. Very well then, Mr. Please begin your final examination. Alright, let's go. Can only press, no evidence. The ninth statement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Press! Mr. Atme, about this last remark. You still don't get it, do you, Trite? This isn't the time to be pressing the witness on every little statement. I'm not doing that, though. I'm only doing one statement. Or if you are the one who doesn't get it, Mr. Godot. What? Mr. Atme, it seems you have finally admitted it. That you were in the CEO's office on the night of the murder. How can you say that? Let's review your testimony, shall we, Mr. Atme? The button did not have any fingerprints on it. Why? Mr. Delight was wearing his masque outfit. Is that correct? Indeed, that's what I said. My deductions are absolutely foolproof. More like your deductions prove that you're a fool. I'm sorry, whatever do you mean? For some reason, I'm starting to get really thirsty. When exactly did we learn the fact that Ron Delight was dressed as masque when he went to see the crime? That was, it was just a few hours ago. Back when my 6th cup was looking at me with this cold stare. Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. That's right, the defendant had yet to tell anyone this fact before this morning. Therefore, the only people who should have known this are the people who have been watching this trial. Do you understand now, Detective Atme? There's no way that you have known about that! Yay! You were in the next courtroom being tried masque. So then enlighten us. Just what did you know about the piece of information? Well. Come on, the detective must have known about this. He probably had plenty of chances to find out beforehand. And those chances that I want to discuss next. That night, Mr. Delight was wearing his masque outfit. There's one and only one way for Detective Atme to have found that out. Only one way, you see. Please recall, if you will, Mr. Delight's testimony. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. For a second, my client witnessed the real killer. In that shadow, Mr. Delight never saw his attacker, so there's no way to tell whether or not the real killer was Luke Atme. It's with that statement that I'll turn this case on its head. Just what are you implying? Mr. Delight saw the real killer, correct? Now, if you turn that statement around, it stands to reason that real killer had also seen Ron Delight. Impossible. It was look at me! Detective asked me, you saw Masky Masky at the murder scene that night. You saw him when you killed Kane Bullard and insulted Ron Delight. That was the only way you could have known what Ron was wearing. Take a good look, everyone. Unable to find a rival worthy of my genius, I was forced to create one by myself. Here I am, the tragic clown. That's the same line you gave yesterday. But I think there's a little more meaning behind it this time. What an awfully complicated incident. Kane Bullard was blackmailing Luke Atme, who was in turn blackmailing Ron Delight. And upon killing his blackmailer, Luke Atme tried to frame Ron Delight, and then claimed to be guilty as Masky Masky in order to escape his true crime. And to end that, he came up with his plan, to use the double jeopardy rule when making his alibi. At any rate, it would seem we finally found the truth. Excuse me? I came so perilously close to beshame the record of an innocent young man, and beshame him with the title of murderer. Don't ignore me! Oh, I didn't realize you were there. Why wouldn't he be? About the verdict. I know. You would never commit any murder. That's right, I'm so glad you understand that, but I really am Masky Masky! Huh? So thanks to that trial yesterday, I'm innocent now, right? Is that what you said? Double jeopardy? Now that you mention it, I've been careless. Careless? What do you think, Mia? As the defendant says, the rule of double jeopardy is absolute. The defendant can never be tried twice for the crime in which he was once found innocent. Then, Masky Masky really is innocent? It would seem so. For now. For now? Now then, the court finds the defendant not guilty! Hey, we did it! Oh my god, it's done. Okay, oh boy. Boy, it's really lucky. Wait, this isn't so good after all. You see that thing is still Masky Masky after all. You did it, Phoenix. Thanks, Mia. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Yeah, it's because Maya doesn't call me much these days. Oh, I'm just joking, Phoenix. Don't take everything so seriously. But on the other hand, Maya, she seems kind of torn these days. You mean about becoming the master of Korean Channeling School? Becoming the master means saying goodbye to our mother. Misty Faye, right? Watch over her, will you, Phoenix? Of course. Well then, see you around. Mia. But Mr. Wright! I don't know what to say. Congratulations, Mr. Delight. Thank you so much. Oh wait. Nothing really matters anymore, though. Not at all. Come on, just be happy already! Maya, you've been clearly of murder charges and got off Masky Masky to boot. But in exchange, I lost everything. Huh? What do you mean? Stealing security information from KB Security, becoming Masky Masky? I did it all for one reason. For her. You mean your wife, Desari. She hates criminals more than anything. Come to think of it, she was once held hostage by some robbers, wasn't she? She's always said how she hated sneaky criminals. I knew that, but once I got fired from KB Security, I lost all the money I had. She wouldn't have any reason to stay with me. I thought she would just leave me for sure. So that's why you became Masky Masky. Yes, but it's all over now. Broken Bull can never be put back together. That's not true, right, Nick? Right. Really? Can we give things the way they were? You'll be fine, and Nick can prove it. Fine, let's check me. Mr. Delight, even if a bell's broken, there's always a way to put it back together. Wait, what evidence? Fuck, what evidence? What evidence was it again? Bitch, man. Sacred urn. I have a lot of evidence. What the fuck? Sacred urn. The sacred urn. Desi was the one who found this. Desari, your wife, she's always believing you wrong. That's why you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about anything. Ah, there you are. Misty Light. You did it, Ronnie. You're innocent. I'm so happy. Thank you. I appreciate that. But, I suppose you don't want anything more to do with me, do you? Ronnie, why didn't you talk to me about what was going on? I had no idea you quit KB security. I never imagined that you were really Maske either. Misty Light, what are you gonna do now? Did you know you're not going to really leave him, are you? Come on, it's obvious, isn't it? How could I ever let a wonderful man like him get away? After all, my bike's really fast. So fast there's no way I could ever get away. But did you say you hate criminals? Oh, I only hate people who act all cowardly and sneaky. Like that detective. I see. My Ronnie went and declared my crimes before he committed them, like a man. Just of a man who's so chivalrous. Chivalrous? I knew I was right about you. Every day I spend with you is like filled with thrills and excitement. Desi. Desari, you really do love Ron, don't you? Nicky boy. Yes? I'm really glad I asked you to defend my Ronnie. Thank you so much. I'll never forget what you've done for us. Oh, well, take care of yourself. You too, Nicky boy. I can feel my face going red. Mr. Nick, Mystic Maya, congratulations! Talk about bad timing! Mr. Nick, how could you? With another man's wife around a Mystic Maya? No, you got it all wrong. I never forgive you, ever! So just as the case came to a close, so too did my consciousness. Ron said, a broken book can never be put back together. But I know that's not true. I mean, just look. Here's a perfect example of one thing that ever put back together and even better than before. And that's the stolen turnabout. Done. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and whatever the fuck you want to do. And next time, and maybe share with your friends, I don't know, if you want to share my videos, go ahead. Next time we're going to go ahead and start episode 3, which is basically just another filler case. Episode 3 is basically just another very long filler case, but I'm going to try to get through it as fast as possible, so I'm going to try to get through it. So it's just another filler case. Next time we're going to start Recipe for Turnabout, which is just a filler case. So, see you guys then. Bye!